so I haven't replaced them yet. But if it gets to the point where I walk on them, because I'm the only one who climbs, that it's too bad, then I'll have to pull them. Okay. And we'll talk about that later. So, good eyes though. Good. Yeah.
What about stuff like when they strap down the wood on the trucks or whatever? It has those marks on it.
As long as it's not damaging the integrity of the plank itself, then it's fine.
So it's just like a surface.
It's just like a ding. Okay. And it's not. If it develops into a crack, now we have an issue. There you go. Looking good.
It is alright if you sit down.
Yeah. Yep. Done. If everything got pins and everything is level and everything is spaced right, if you're good, you can just wait on them. They are almost done. I'm going to do a little song and dance and then we're going to start taking them apart. Good.
Which way do you want to rotate? This way?
That way.
Alright.
They double dip. We'll talk about that in a minute. There you go.
Why are these toe boards not?
I'm gonna tell you in just a minute. I've got them rigged for a certain kind of construction right now.
Do you just feel like they'd fall over?
Normally, if this was our only scaffold, we'd box them in right here, and that's just, I put some screws in.
Okay,
but it would also be a different type of toe
we're not
board.
using power tools in here either.
No. And I got to take these apart and back together. Last thing I got is time. Plus, they won't buy any more boards.
Stripping all the
Yeah.
rings and the wood.
They'll screw up the wood, and the state of Oklahoma only pays for so much. So
Yeah.
it's got to be able to take it apart, put it back together. Take it apart, put it back together. If it was a real job, yeah, we would definitely box it in here, but I'll talk about that in a minute. We'll explain it. How are we looking? Are all the outriggers parallel? Ah, and snug and flush? Is that goose bar level? I don't know what the hell he's talking about. Down there at the bottom. In Australia, we call it a goose bar. Here we call it a stabilizer bar. Okay? Toe board's good.
Yeah.
Maximum distance between planks is? Did we measure that out?
So there's certain boards that you can buy.
I didn't.
Yeah, we'll talk about that. Good? I got a tape measure right behind these gentlemen if we need it. Okay, there we go. Almost there. Yeah, eyeballing. That's what I tell the ocean inspector. Eyeballs look good, man. And the ocean inspector, yeah, looks good with me writing this up too.
Be eyeballing this fine.
That's right. There we go.
As long as they're parallel.
Okay, once I get out of your way, guys, just push this right back. Then we'll have them all gather around on this front where this unique one is. Okay?
I have a question. I was talking to this fellow the other day.
Go ahead, push this back, Walt, because we're short on time.
And he was talking about how he worked with asbestos or whatever.
One time?
Asbestos.
Yeah, that's bad. That's not cool.
He said it if
You're blocking the camera.
if you left it, like if more than every, like if you didn't box it off right, you gotta have like
There
a
you go.
hog.
Good. Excellent. Break it.
Like an air hog on it the whole time. And like, pretty much what he was saying, if OSHA came over and found like every gram of asbestos, you get charged like $10,000.
Depends on the state if they have an environmental standard like that. Okay. You can't abandon it in place. Got my tape? Good. You can't abandon it in place, but in terms, that's an environmental regulation he's talking about, not a safety one. It is per se, but you can abandon it in place so long as you mark it. And then depending upon how much is in place, that depends on the state, what they're going to want to find. Makes sense? Okay? Best thing for you. We good? Pins everywhere, everything's level? Okay? Alright, so everybody gather around this blank one right here, all in this kind of general area. With that hazard in the floor, we better watch it. What is that hazard?
Slip and fall.
Boom, boom, boom. Alright. Now, what we got here is two different sets of scaffold. Now you see why I'm the only one that climbs, right? Okay? Got guardrails with wood planks. We got chain aluminum guardrails, and there were 5 years of development, I should say, between these two sets. Okay? When I bought them from the manufacturer originally, they were $3 high, 3 scaffolds high. You may have seen there's a last frame up here. They go 3 up, and then this was the top. 5 years later, they come out with this set of guardrails. versus this set of guardrails, which was originally on the top. And I should say in my own defense, they look great on the web page. These look fantastic when I ordered them, okay? About 3,200, 5,200, something like that. I don't remember what we spent on them. However, would you put your kid on it? No, I wouldn't put my kid on it. Now let's look at it from an OSHA perspective, okay? Because we're short on time, we'll try to do what we can. Can you cite me, OSHA inspector, under the scaffolding standard for construction for not having a top rail?
No.
Can you cite me for not having a mid rail?
No.
Can you cite me for not having a toe board?
No.
Yeah.
What's this right here? Is that a toe board? Has to be 3 inches, right? And we said that it is 3 1/4, 3 1/2 okay?
But you don't have one on.
I don't have one on this end, that's true, but I'm illustrating something. Hold that thought. That's good. She's going to be an ocean inspector, ain't she? She's going to cite Dr. Nick right here now. In terms of what we're dealing with, I've got this rigged so that if you were working against a building, like my bricky guys do, this is how we run our toe boards. Run them all the way down the side of the building. I overlap, butt them, okay, or not butt, but I overlap them together. I actually screw them together, and then all the way down, and then at the very last scaffold will box that off, okay? And that's going to be your enclosed work area, okay? So that's what the bricky guys do if they're cleaning, if they're mortaring, if they're painting, if they're doing whatever. That's how you get your toe board there. However, you're saying that's insufficient. They could actually cite us under that. Not necessarily. Depends on the inspector. But which toe board would you rather have? That one or this one? Exactly, because that's a one by and it'll keep it there. However, this one is also not in compliance with the scaffolding standard. How is that? There you go. Boom, boom. We got steel. We got wood. What is going on, Dr. Nick? Are you on drugs? Why did you put steel and wood together? Why would you think I put steel and wood together?
2 different examples.
It's good. It ended up being that. Good guess. Anybody else? Since we're short on time, I'll keep it short. That's where Southeastern ran out of money. Okay, so that meant that I got no more steel toe boards. What I had to do was get wooden toe boards. So that illustrates another point. Like Dr. Poopy and I like to say all the time, when you don't have enough money, you get a chance to illustrate something. Scaffold components, true-false question on your final exam, can be fit together so long as they are not, what? Forced. Exactly. And those aren't. What I would do normally is you see these U-bolts on each end. What I would do is I would loosen them, drop those down, and then zip to the sides. I would actually bolt those into those toe boards right there. And I'm totally cool. I'm compliant. I'm over compliant with the standard because the standard only requires a 3-inch toe board. Okay? So 100% standard is not. That's the way to illustrate. Now, with these guardrails here, I've got a mid rail, a top rail, all permanently affixed. Hopefully they would hold 150 pounds on the middle for your test, 200 pounds at the top, okay? And then up at the top of each one, if you'll notice on these corners, you guys are putting them together, they're crimped is what we call it. They're squeezed together. Why do you think that is? Take a guess. That's it. Boom. The manufacturer says, and OSHA will use manufacturers, I don't care what it is, if it's scaffolding or a machine or whatever, OSHA will use manufacturers' manuals to cite you and try to fine you for not following what the safe assembly procedures are. So if Billy Joe Jim Bob gets up there with a pin and bang, 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 and then whales that thing together, we're cool, right? Wrong. Billy Joe Jim Bob, you're fired and I don't want you on my side. What? Exactly. We have compromised the metal integrity at a molecular level because he's going to weld it to make it fit, right? Or he puts a sleeve on there. I've seen both of them done. Not cool. And both of them are in violation. That's the top of the scaffold according to the manufacturer. And if I follow that, then we're cool. I got wood planking here. I got aluminum planking over there. Over here, I got Lowe's top choice. You see no writing here, correct? Right? On all these others, you saw writing on the top. There's stamps. There's blue ends, right? This is DI 65. Dense Industrial is what it stands for. 65 scaffold grade plank. And sometimes working up here, I got a good question yesterday. Don't those wear off? Oh, they absolutely do. The stamps up here will wear off, and the blue ends, they usually don't. And when I was coming up, they were dog-eared. This is these ends. They would cut them off to a 45-degree angle, okay? And then they would paint them. Could I make that top choice look like a DI 65 from the road? I could by doing a couple simple steps. What?
Spray paint.
Dog ear it and spray paint it. Okay, that's right. And then hope that the OSHA inspector doesn't stop as they go by. However, the DI-65 is grown in such a way, it's manufactured in such a way that it's called dense industrial. That's the fibers in the wood that they're referring to, okay? So when I step on it, I'm stepping on a pretty stable surface. However, watch me close. As they said, one of them's bowing. Watch my feet. According to the scale this morning, I weigh 153.2, and that's just me. How many things does a scaffold have to support for the final exam? What are they?
To workers, materials, and tools.
That's it. Boom. Workers, materials, and tools. And if you see my feet at just 153 pounds, spiky hair, skinny guy, it ain't going to support me well, is it? Think about Tiny, who weighs 350 and is bringing 2 buckets of mortar up to me, plus he's going to bring up a whole bunch of bricks or cinder blocks or whatever. Okay? He's going to go through when he stands up here. Make sense? Okay? And as you see, you saw probably these guys who are putting them together, these folks who are putting them together up here. One of these has a crack in it, one of these DI-65s. Somewhere, I don't know where it is, I've lost, there it is right there. This is a crack, and what happened is, it fell to the ground. I'll tell you why in a minute, which brings me to another issue. On the bottom of each plank, you'll see a little piece of wood. They call that a cleat, okay? That cleat, when you guys put that on these frames, what did you notice about that frame? It straightened it up and started to actually plumb it up, didn't it, in terms of leveling the scaffold. Number, it stabilized the scaffold. So for your final exam, true-false question, the number one reason that frame scaffolds fail is failure to stabilize the scaffold itself. That cleat is an awesome thing to do that on the bottom of a plank if you have the right plank like all DI-65s, okay? However, we don't. We got top choice from Lowe's, okay? And we've also got DI-65s with cleats on them. That's pretty good. I can tell you this, I have never ever in my entire existence been on a construction site that used cleats. Why would that be the case?
They're expensive.
Yeah, sort of. You got to get more planks to cut up, but why would they not use cleats? Because they're safer, true? Isn't that true?
Ease of taking or putting them up and taking them down.
Good guess, okay. Normally, if you were by Pruitt's Food anytime this week, you saw this, they overlap planks. And unfortunately, oh, I've said it, now I can't say it anymore, I'll have to bleep it when I do the videotape. In terms of where they were located this week, I saw them multiple times overlapping planks, but they didn't, the maximum according to the standard that you can overlap a plank is what? Anybody know? 6 inches be on your final exam, okay? Because anything further than that, now I'm doing close to 6 here, but I've also got a cleat. I'm looking to get the stabilization of that tube, that frame, to actually help that plank hold me up. If you go way over that, you're looking at a diving board situation. It's going to flip up on you. These guys at the location that I just mentioned earlier were overlapping, and they were overlapping up to about 2 feet. And then they walk onto that. So what happens? As soon as you go through them. When I overlap, I've created a new hazard. What is that new hazard? Yeah, it's why is it trip? Why is it slip, trip, fall?
It's not level.
That's right. And I've seen guys overlap them, many sites, doesn't matter what state, pick one. And they'll have a full bucket of concrete, and they're walking across the scaffold trying to pour that concrete into that form. One wheelbarrow or Georgia buggy at a time. Make sense? So I got a big hazard. When you're overlapping, and it's commonly done. I'm not saying it ain't done, I'm saying it ain't safe. Okay? I'd love to see cleats. If they use them on your site, somebody's thinking. But the other reason is, I got to find somebody who can measure, do math on a construction site. That's a big challenge, man. And then they got to have the right tools to cut. Measure twice, cut once. True? That's true. Or just cut. Yeah, that's about right. And then you put the cleat on there and it don't fit. Okay? So that's a lot of reasons they don't, because it takes more time. That's holding up the job. Make sense? On these aluminum planks right here, you got hooks. And if we break a hook off, we can just hook it, we can weld it back on. True or false? We can't do that. You also see, because we're compromising the metal, and if I put it back up a little bit, if that hook's broken off and I find it welded onto that frame and they're standing on it, what do? Get off, take the plank off, and then what do I do to the plank? Give me the torch, because I'll have a blast today at work. It's going to be really fun, cutting up your aluminum plank, okay? And I want to see it on site. We will get another one. It's got little holes drilled in it. What do they got? Each one of them got little holes drilled in it for? Drainage, that's right, from rain and also from ice. One of the first jobs I had was to put out the de-icer and make sure that all those things had the ice off of them before the guys got up on them. And then the guys were given brooms to sweep off the de-icer, because now you've added another hazard in slip, trip, fall on top of that actual plank. You're looking at prices in terms of what they use on site. These DI-65 run from 13 to 15 bucks a plank. We had a student who donated all these because originally we just had the 2x12s, okay? And I had one DI-65. But now I've got a $3 a plank, $3 a board 2x12, and then I got the real scaffold grade plank. Which do you think you'll see more on a construction site?
The cheaper one.
Why?
Cheap.
Because it's cheaper, it ain't brain surgery, okay? DI-65s, the boss don't really want to spend a lot of money on them, they're wood, and in the back of that handout you'll see chips, cracks, all that the warpage, all that stuff that you'll see in boards that you got to worry about. Same thing applies to DI-65s. They may each have a steel pin in each end, supporting it when it's overlapped as well, so that you can make it a little safer, but it's still wood. It's going to get damaged, and you're going to drop mortar, you're going to drop paint, you're going to obscure marks, you're going to lose your marks. I think I told the story about the guy who got out of the citation over at Students Union when they were building it, right? I told that in class. Flipped it over, and there was a stamp on the bottom, got out of the citation before the OSHA inspector got back to the Dallas area office, okay? Over here, if it's good planks, and the hooks are good, and I got them hooked in, then we're in pretty good shape. What's the problem? Those are 150 bucks a piece. I'm the boss. Sell me. Why do I want to use those instead of wood planks?
They'll last longer. They
Okay.
won't warp with the weather like those do.
Excellent.
Those grow. The integrity of the wood is depleted. Form alters shape altogether
Good.
because when they grow, it pushes out on the metal.
Excellent.
These are reusable.
Yeah.
Those
So I can move them from job to job, true or false. You can see them all over downtown Dallas. They might mainly use aluminum planking because they already understand these things. Sometimes in Durant, very rarely, but you can see those in Durant because they're 150 bucks a piece, okay? Each one of these DI-65s for your test is approved by OSHA, true or false? Said that in the presentation. They don't stay outside and stamp them. What they do is say that it can meet or exceed the standard, but it can't go over it, okay?
The one where the manufacturer is what they'll go by.
Exactly. The manufacturer can meet that standard, but they can't exceed. Yeah, those of you got classes, you can ditch your stuff. We'll put the rest of it away without you, okay? You got, like, 3 of you had classes. Everybody else hang around because we're going to take them down, okay? Now, finishing up. This right here, your top rail for your final exam has to withstand 200 pounds horizontally. Will this do it? No. The difference was we welded in between the design. We had a fixed, make sure the people in the video can hear, keep quiet. We had a fixed top rail welded to a mid rail. That should hopefully hold 200, but if Bubba gets up across it, he's going to fold, and it's going to fall to him down when it
So what
folds.
can you do that to reinforce it?
Quiet down just a little bit over. What's that?
What can you do to reinforce that?
Nothing. I saw this on the site, and they started wiggling around, and I saw them grabbing like I grabbed to get up. I'd say, okay, guys, you got a choice to make. You can either get some good guardrails and put them on that scaffold, and I'll let you work the rest of the day if I'm easy going. But I'm not going to let you work with these. And they may want to argue with me. If that's fine, if you want to argue, where am I going to send you? You're going to go home. Because this is unsafe, and not only is it unsafe, I can't get cited, which we were talking about earlier. They can't cite me under the scaffolding standard. What standard could they cite me under? Fall protection. They can't get it is fall protection. They could maybe under fall protection. I'll give you that one. It's a new one. I didn't think of that. It's a good one. But let me ask it another way. What would be the easiest standard? Yes, general duty clause. Is this safe? Not in any way, shape, or form. So you brought an unsafe set of guardrails on my site. Get rid of the guardrails, and I'll get rid of the guardrails for you. You just take them down and get you a good solid set of guardrails. That's going to hold up our work. That ain't my problem. What the problem is that you're standing on an unsafe set of scaffolds with a guardrail that will fold and follow you down when you fall over. Make sense? Okay? So they could cite me, and I guarantee you there's somebody getting cited right now under that general duty clause. That's how often it's used. Make sense?
Does it cite you under the standard and general duty?
Not to. Not to. They have to choose per issue. They could but it's gonna look bad going to the area director. That's a good question, okay?
Would
Now,
that be pretty easy to fight?
fight under, if they use the wrong standard, yes. But if they use both, you got a good chance of fighting it. But you could also run into a situation where the area director goes, look, you hit one of them that could be right, so we're gonna go with that one. It totally depends on the area director's point of view, and then we go to the OSHROC level and we begin to fight from there.
Okay.
Make sense?
Yep.
Okay? Now, in terms of these over here, we got pretty good, situation with stabilization. What do those outriggers do? Just like cranes, they stabilize. And then we got the goose bot, like we talked about before, right there. Same thing. You guys actually double dipped, and you got stabilization going both ways. 100% standard is not 100% safe. Over here, I would say, hey dudes, because your brakes aren't working, where's your stabilization and where are your better brakes? Makes sense? And I might make them take it down as we go along, okay? But over here, this makes them eligible for the full 30 because they double dipped. You got the stabilizer bar and you got the outriggers. This is rigged for overhead work, like say inside a factory. How do I know that? Anybody got a good guess? Good. Well, that's good. Why? Yeah, these outriggers on the outside, they're facing that way. So I'm going to be working overhead. If I want to brick a building, where do they got to go? 90 degrees out. And then we put it flush up against the building. We begin to brick. We begin to do whatever we need to do. Make sense? Okay? So, got a chain guardrail up here too. There was 5 years of development between the two. We dropped those two toe boards down on each side with the U-bolts. We got a good set of toe boards. I'm getting ahead of myself. The toe boards dropping down to the bottom, and then we got a good thing in terms of not having anything fall on anybody below. Make sense? Okay. Over here, not so much because we got the wood planking and everything else. But everything else is in place. What am I forgetting? When I inspect these things, I'm looking for corrosion. I'm looking for damage. I'm looking for stable scaffold, number one, too. Do we have that or do we not? And did the forklift guy hit it with anything that he went by? Did anybody else hit it with anything they went by? Is there a big hammer mark? Are they welding on it for any reason to try to keep me from seeing something going on a scaffold? I'll pull the whole thing down over one joint. If you got a crack right there and you try to weld it up and then put the pin in, that don't fly either. Make sense? Okay. Any questions? Anything else? Okay, now, when you take them apart, it's as important as putting them together. True? Assembly and disassembly on a JSA. So when we take them apart from the bottom up. True or false? Why? That's right. Now the one that cracked, and we're going to, right here. This one that cracked, I turned my back for about 1 30-second period, 1 30-second increment there, one semester, and I heard a boom! And I turned around and looked, and the people who had put them together had taken both cross braces out first. So what happened with that scaffold? Right there in the damn safety lab, you just about killed everybody. So no, we ain't gonna do that. What we're gonna do is spread them back apart, put those cross braces back in, and when we take them apart, we're gonna take them apart from the top down. Okay. Like I said, this one's because you double dipped, you're eligible for 30 based on the quality of your JSA. Over here, you're eligible for 25 based on the quality of JSA when you turn in. We're kind of waiting on these folks when we take them apart. We're going to have these 3 aluminum planks go in this back corner first and give you 3 foot away from that back wall. Okay? So you can pull them 3 foot away, and then we're going to start stacking wood on top of that. And we're going to put posts and poles and everything else on top of the guardrails. Make sense? All right, take off, folks. No, I don't think so. Trust that like and then I kill you and then you sue me, and that's how it all works out. What's that?
Would this be counted as a crack?
As a what?
They all got holes in them, but this one's really low.
That's manufactured. It came from the manufacturer that way. If they were to cite and fine you, it would have to be insufficient outrigger, but it didn't have to be more. If they took that to an area director, they probably say you waste that. Makes sense?
Well, all the skin has to go on bottom.
Yeah, your planks go on top of those planks, so we're kind of waiting on them, okay? Do we have somebody that didn't sign the roll sheet?
Oh, yeah. Me.
We did this, we were doing this for video.
That right there. There we go.
Yeah.
You set it to the side, lean everything against that blue hazmat module
So
right
when
there.
we
You
did
go.
a video, we had different snippets, and we built this, we kind of mixed them. We put those boards on here.
That's all right. You want to do it that way. I mean, you got more of a tub board, but what I was trying to illustrate here is this is the minimum that the standard requires. Okay, so minimum is not something I trust on that. If you look at the location that we talked about earlier, 0 tub boards on any of the scaffolds, and they were overlapping by at least 2 feet. So it's an accident waiting to happen, literally. Just lean them up against the side, fellas. Good? You guys can start taking apart right now. Lean it side, set them to the side, and get them ready. I'll get you out of here fast. There you go. Good.
Yeah, I'm not really tall enough to do it.
That's all right. We got tall people. Sucks being short, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Take it from a short person who has no reason.
Well, that's like when we were putting it together, I was about halfway.
I know. I have been where you are at, ma'am.
I guess I'll just watch.
You just supervise.
Okay, lean that against the hazmat module, brother, right there. Yeah, that one he's got and yours too. They're gonna go in front last. Okay, lean it against the hazmat module. Just swing it over there. There you go.
Can you buy these boards at Lowe's as well?
What's that?
Can you buy them boards at Lowe's?
No, they don't sell the I-65. Yes, special order. I've never seen them there. If they do, I don't know where they're at. Yeah. And we're gonna have 2 stacks of these. I'll tell you how to do them. We're gonna alternate them. We're gonna flip them right side up, upside down. We'll get to that in just a second. Watch that folding. Don't let it fold on you. Okay. There you go. Good, good. All right, give me 3 feet off that back wall.
3 feet off
3
the back
feet?
wall.
Yeah. There you go. Good. That ought to be plenty of room. You can slide it all the way up against the wall if you want to. It don't matter. There you go. Perfect.
Put it down.
And the other one will go up.
That one will flip it upside down, right on top of that one. Okay?
And that one goes upside down.
There you go. Think about your hazards. Think about your controls. There you go. Good. Okay. There you go. Looking good, gentlemen. Yep, just set them to the side. Cool deal.
Well, I don't think I'm strong enough to get it off.
They put a gorilla grip on it, did they?
Put the 60 off first.
Watch that folding.
Yeah, that was the one I struggled on.
They've been formed to be on there forever. That's good. That's all right.
Hey.
Safe. Okay, you got wheel and pin. Where do those go?
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, all right.
Caster and pins.
That's what I got it before time to do it. You guys hold it.
Set them off to the side right now. Lean them up against that hazmat module right now. There you go. Okay, good, good. Yeah, we'll move them again here in just a minute.